All right. It looks like we are.
Oh, as soon as I said that, I started to cough.
It was destined. It was destined to happen.
It was the cough that was promised.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome everyone to A Pod of the Seven Kingdoms live.
And I can see the chat this week. Last week, guys, I could not see the chat, so I didn't know chat was happening. And this week I've learned how to look at chat, so I'm very excited that we have people here to watch and chat with us. This is very fantastic.
Yeah, welcome guys, and yeah, just excited to chat. We are going to be talking about episode 4 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Seven.
Yes, let's fucking go.
It's funny because like a lot of people, I'm sure, watched this episode earlier in the day, and it was one of those things where one, as Eric, my from the Wicked Witches of Westeros, has called me a coastal elite because I'm in Eastern time.
As well, we're here in Eastern time.
Yeah. So the coastal elites had to wait until the evening to watch. Wow, of the episodes that gets a weird release date, like I do feel that the timing of this like really just was brutal.
This is one of my complaints. That being said,
like we just watched it, like so we are both living in the moment. It is So anyways, go ahead.
I was genuinely like a sports fan at the end. I was like, let's fucking go, Prince Baelor. So this is one of I have two overarching complaints just to start with. I loved the episode. I think it's a great episode. I think it's my favorite episode so far.
We'll get that stuff out of the way.
But we do our review, I guess. I'm a professional complainer on the internet. So here's my professional complaints. Number one, this is a show that was rescheduled for this release time. It was originally supposed to be released like last year sometime, and they pushed it back. They know when the Super Bowl is. Just don't schedule an episode that just say like it's the mid-season break, we're taking a week off, or just you only have 6 episodes to air. It has to be that you air it Sunday nights during the time the Super Bowl is going to happen. Because honestly, I'm like, this is a great episode of television. It probably would have been like the highest rated episode of the show so far. But it's going to automatically lose ratings because people that aren't tracking that it's on a different day are going to wait until Sunday and then be like, oh, it came out Friday. Cool. I'll stream it now. It's going to just fuck up the rating system. So I'm like, just look at your calendar. Someone at HBO, get a calendar.
They should have and listen, I'm no marketing professional, so anyone is free to correct me here. I think that they spent very little money on this show overall. So of all of that very little money that you spent, take a big chunk of that money, get a Super Bowl commercial. Then the week of the Super Bowl, drop the episode like 10 minutes after the final whistle. Where
that would be cool.
During the Super Bowl, you run a commercial that says, after the Super Bowl, we're all going to HBO to watch the hype-ass episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Just go all in and try to make it like a Super Bowl lead-in to A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. You can even play up the crowd tourney.
Right, exactly.
Angle,
it's very sportsy.
Come on. And they're paying people. You know how much money they're paying marketing people.
Fucking mucky, but we're here saying this shit for free on our podcast.
I'm just saying it. No, I agree. I think this episode getting shifted is a damn shame. That being said, I think this episode somehow being off cycle, it feels like people are making almost more of an effort to watch it.
I don't know. I don't know how the casuals are. I don't know casuals.
It's tough.
I only know people like us. So I don't know how the casuals are handling it.
I only know people who are psychotic about it.
I only know people that are psychotic about a Song of Ice and Fire.
I only associate with people that take this way too seriously.
Exactly.
I guess. Oh, did you have a second thing? So
my second complaint is just that I guess we forgot to pay the electric bill for the first half of the episode because the lighting. HBO, sweetie, I'm watching the show on my giant television. I'm sitting less than 6 feet from my giant television. Most of the lights in the room are out, and there are still things that are hard to see. HBO, honey, you are the only network I know that has this problem. The show made in Canada, Supernatural, that was made on a shoestring budget for 2 seasons, that takes place almost 90% of that story takes place at night. You can see everything in that show. There's never a point when I'm watching Supernatural like, what is that? You know why? Because they filmed during the day and put a blue filter on. It's fine. Just do that. I want to see it. There were a lot of scenes this episode where I was like, what am I looking at? And I'm making efforts to watch it in a way where I can see it. People are watching this on their cell phones, on the train, on the way to work. You know, like you have to make it visible. My eyes want to see it.
Yeah.
And sometimes when my eyes can't see it, I just get particularly frustrated with HBO because they do this all the time. So
and it's weird because the night lighting of the show up to this point has actually been really good.
It's been really good.
And
it's been really good.
That was what was odd. I wonder if it's something about the interiors that they struggled with, because the exteriors are lit amazing. Interiors in this, because they're in this castle, you know, they're in Ashford Castle, and it seems like those scenes felt darker or more washed out.
I agree. And I don't know if it's like they think it's dramatic. So like the first opening scene with Duncan sitting in the jail cell, the first 10 to 15 seconds is like the upper wall, and I'm like, what am I looking at, honey? Where am I?
So I do think they're doing something. I do think they're doing something here. I think it's meant to look like stars.
That's what I thought. So I thought too. I was like, are they trying to do a thing? All that to say, it shouldn't have been that long because you only have so much screen time in your half-an-hour night show.
Yeah, I will say I was, despite the fact that there were parts of it that looked dark, I do think that there are aspects of this episode that, even compared to the rest of the show, shot beautifully. Like there are just some very, very stunning images and visuals in this scene or in this episode. I mean, I guess in reviewing what actually happened and kind of taking it scene by scene, we start with this whole pan down from the ceiling of Dunk is not outside. He is not under his tree pavilion. No. He is in a dungeon and it's pouring outside, whatever. And his room is entered by, now we know, Prince Aegon Targaryen, who we have known as Egg up to this point.
Yeah. Egg is coming in wearing his best Nazi cosplay.
The Targaryen costuming in this is like, hey, these are the dragon fascists, remember?
Do you remember the dragon fascists? Let me give you a nice little like 3/4 lapel. Yeah. And a very square shoulder, and it's in black. Do you get it? It's bad.
It's Hugo Boss, and it's deeply troubling. No, and so yeah, he approaches it with food, and I think they are trying to demonstrate with this that Dunk has maybe been in there for a little while. It's unclear. They don't make it clear exactly how long he's been there.
Yeah,
but he's been in there at least long enough to where he attacks this heel of bread with vigor.
Yeah. He says, nom, 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 nom. Yeah, actually, it's a good question because he would have attacked Arian at night, and it's night. So, yeah, some days must have passed at this point. Dunk does give us a time check later. He says, I left the inn 4 days ago, and Daron did not pursue his brother's captor.
Which means, that's actually interesting because I think 3 days have passed when he attacks Arian. So, it's maybe a day?
A day?
Which I guess maybe... if he hasn't eaten in a day,
if
it's the following night,
I guess he's in the dungeon all that long in the book either. I think it's like the following day.
It's the following morning, I think, when Egg visits him.
Yeah, so that's like
and in the book, they are still jousting outside, which I did miss a little bit from the scene where of Dunk. He's in a tower in the book, and he's like longingly. The window is facing the wrong way, and he can't see the jousts, and it's like that is it. To me, I miss that a little bit. But in this scene, we get the confrontation between Dunk and Egg, in that Egg was a prince the whole time and lied to Dunk, and now Dunk is potentially in a lot of trouble, which is not so good. And Dunk in this episode, I would say, little bit more feisty than how I read it in the book. In the book, he feels maybe more resigned and sort of foolish and all this sort of stuff. Dunk is a little bit mad and makes Egg feel pretty bad about the whole thing, as he probably does. And I think what I enjoyed about the scene is they really leaned into, and I'd be interested to know how you felt about this, but it felt like they really leaned into the whole idea of Egg not understanding the place of privilege that he was moving from. Dunk being like, you didn't care what happened. as long as you got to do your thing. You didn't care what happened to anybody else like around you. And Egg, unlike what many nobles would probably respond with, is actually upset by this and is like sort of considering the whole idea that maybe he didn't understand the potential impact of his actions.
Oh, absolutely. I think the dialogue here is genius in that. I agree. Dunk in this episode is written more feisty than how I interpreted Book Dunk, and we can talk about that as we go. This scene being an example. So Dunk says two important things, I think, to Egg. One, he says to Egg, like, you would have been a squire for a donkey if it would have gotten you here, something along those lines, which is quite a dig, because what Dunk is saying there is like, not only are you like, you're selfish and you'll do whatever for you, but also he's saying you don't care about me. And at this point, Egg does care about Dunk, and Egg has done things for Dunk, and Egg has also cares what Dunk thinks of him. Right. So there is already this developing relationship. So Egg is trying to explain himself, and he's like, I just really wanted to be a squire. Like, I really wanted to come to the tourney as a squire. And Dunk's like, oh, well, we can't let the little prince not get what he wants. And that's like, he's like calling him out. That's that privilege you're talking about. He's saying, you know, like, oh, it's so important for you to get to be a squire at a particular tourney that like you've now put my life in jeopardy, basically. And it's a very important lesson, I think, for Egg to learn, that, you know, his actions have consequences.
Right. And we get the scene as well at the end. Essentially, Egg he's there to deliver food to Dunk, but he's also there to let him know that his uncle would like to see him when he's done eating. And he's like, your uncle,
Prince Baelor, the crown prince.
Yeah, the heir to the throne, the heir
just
to the
that
heir.
Guy. Yeah. Just that guy. Your uncle. It's fine. Yeah. And so then Dunk goes to meet with Prince Baelor. And dialogue-wise, this scene is pretty much ripped off the page, more or less. What did you think about this scene?
I think tonally this one struck me as a little bit different too than how I read it in the book.
This is why the same brain. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Dunk is a little. I would have liked him to dial it back like 5%. Again, not saying it's bad. I would have liked Dunk to be slightly less accusatory in the way that he's talking to Baelor, because I think across the show, one of the things that they have definitely changed from the books is how comfortable Dunk is in these situations, and I would have loved him to be a little less comfortable. Now, I think him kind of losing his cool and out of like sheer self-preservation being a little more angry or a little bit more tetchy or whatever, like that would like ring true to me. I think when he's like being a little bit petulant and stuff with them, like I don't know, Doug, you're like already accused of like some pretty serious crimes. Maybe now's not the time to be like sassy with the heir to the throne. Like again, Baelor he takes it all in stride and he doesn't take it personally, which I thought was good from the portrayal of Baelor. Is he just like nothing, he's unflappable. Like whatever people are saying, he thinks what he thinks, he has his convictions, and he just like is pragmatic and, you know, is logical and all of this stuff. And he doesn't sort of react emotionally. Dunk being a little bit provocative at times. So I thought that was all very good. But I thought Dunk was maybe a little bit too.
My note was convo with Baelor, very HBO. It had that like, we have to like make it dramatic kind of thing, you know, like it kind of had this like, and they did that by like you're saying, making Dunk more confrontational. Yeah. And it doesn't fit with what I imagined in the books. And I'm a psychopath, so after the scene, I stopped it and I reread the scene. And the one good, like the one point of dialogue that I thought was actually really like was Dunk's best point in the whole conversation is not in the show. So, because Baelor's like, you know, they're accusing you of kidnapping Egg, and Dunk's response in the book is to be, but Egg will tell him the truth. Like Aegon will tell him the truth. Right. And I'm pretty sure in the show they skipped that. Yeah. And I'm like, so like that was odd to me that was skipped, because it feels so Like that's the logical thing. It's like, oh, this one prince is accusing you of kidnap. It's like, well, just ask the prince you're saying was kidnapped. Like he'll clearly tell you, you know.
He goes to a Daron thing of basically accusing Daron of being a coward for not pursuing. If he thought his brother was kidnapped, he didn't pursue me like for 4 days. And okay, fair. And I think the egg point makes more sense in terms of like where Dunk's mind goes, because he's literally just spent the last 3.5 days hanging out with this kid.
Yeah. And it's more, it fits more with Dunk, the hedge knight, for him to be like, well, you don't have to listen to me or question that prince's honor, but listen to this other prince who's totally going to vouch for me. Like he was not kidnapped. He came along willingly, you know? So I did think that was, again, good scene, but just tonally different. I think that's the right way to phrase it. It's like this adaptation has made a choice to make Dunk more comfortable in these circumstances. I'm not sure why. I'll probably need the whole season to make that determination.
Yeah. I think it was interesting too that Dunk has this moment where he's like, no, Egg is a good squire, like at the beginning of the scene. So it was like, I did think they were maybe setting up the discussion of Egg being sort of Dunk's lifeline at this moment. He's like, I have an ally in the royal family inadvertently, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think they could have maybe leaned on that a little more heavily. That being said, I do think that this portrayal of Baelor is also interesting because it is not how I pictured Baelor Breakspear. Maybe even just physically. Like, I guess I just like, in my mind, he's a more imposing figure for being like one of the best fighters in the realm. And obviously size does not a fighter make or anything like that. And this Baelor is like quite gentle sort of around the, like in kind of always, like he's not a very imposing figure, and he's also a nice guy, which is Baelor's whole thing, is he's kind and like compassionate and empathetic and all of this stuff. I always pictured Baelor to be maybe a little bit more intimidating physically, but then that's kind of the rug pull, is like it's like this hard-nosed like guy who then is super kind and is not a gigantic piece of shit or whatever.
I tend to agree. I do think that part of the visual complexity here is that they had to make Dunk look particularly large,
huge,
and they are surrounding him with people that are in large pieces of armor, so like you have to kind of like balance that. So I always pictured Baelor like that height, but like broader, like more muscular. But I understand if they had done that, Dunk is maybe not as imposing.
Sure.
And you need that visual, because we can't, it's not animated where you can actually just draw a person who is genuinely too big to be a person, like this is real
comically massive. Yeah.
Just to do what they did in Lord of the Rings, you put Dunk like more in the foreground, and you do Baelor is back here.
Now what I will say is that scene ends, and it essentially is Baelor asking Dunk, how good a knight are you? Which in the way I do want to highlight this line delivery, particularly because the way that it's delivered in the show makes it even more sort of like on the nose for how George wrote it. Because George means it in the same way, where it is it's not a double entendre in the classic sense.
It's a double meaning. Yeah.
It has a double meaning of how good a knight are you, like how good at fighting are you, but really how good a knight are you? Right.
He says, how good a knight are you truly?
Yeah.
And it's that truly, that's the like, ooh.
Yeah. And sort of asking the question of like, now eventually, obviously it becomes more relevant when it's like, now you have to convince people to come fight for you. And we will come back to this moment because the cold open ends with Baelor asking that question, the intense stare from Dunk. And what I loved about this cold open is we've had up to this point, the cold opens have been comedic and very like whimsical.
Where's the whimsy this week? We're missing her.
Well, I think it was funny because I was talking last week on the Wicked Witches of Westeros about sort of the idea that this season has had this very sort of like comedic tone, and a lot of stuff, even some of the serious stuff in the season, has been kind of like undercut by some comedy throughout it. And it was one of those things where last week we were talking about the fact that like it feels like at some point the tone has to shift because it's not actually that funny of a story.
Yeah. This is Martin-esque whimsy.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like
we're in whimsy, but we're relative to the rest of A Song of Ice and Fire.
On a scale of the Red Wedding to whimsy, we're closer to whimsy, right?
On a scale of Jane Poole to whimsy.
Yeah.
We're closer.
Closer to whimsy, but only in the sense that everything is relative. So, but I do think this cold open, if nothing else, like while including one of my favorite exchanges from the books and you know, in the aftermath of a huge revelation and the sort of pivotal moment of the whole story, the cold open to me is like the signal to fans watching of, you are now watching a different television show.
We have shifted. The tone is shifted.
The tone, it's shifted.
It's shifted. And shifted to serious.
And that is how we will, and no one will be shitting while that song plays. So we have the title screen, and it goes to Arian Brightflame cracking nuts. And by that I mean he's literally smashing walnuts open with the hilt of his dagger.
We've seen this before we've seen this before, this behavior of cracking nuts like this. In Game of Thrones, the bad show, they did it with Rickon. He was like eating nuts and the walnuts left the trail or whatever. Yeah. But we've seen it somewhere else. There was another person in one of these shows cracking nuts with the hilt of a dagger. My brain knows it, but I don't know where. If someone in chat remembers, maybe we could ask our friends on the internet. But I had some questions about this scene. Who was that guy that was crawling on the ground at one point? And why?
I think
they must have been fine. I'm just a little confused by that bit.
So I was trying to do, because it seems like it's maybe, because I think this is Lord Ashford who is in the.
What was there?
I think it's Lord Ashford who is like the other guy who doesn't crawl on the floor. And then the guy who crawls on the floor later approaches Dunk about, hey, trial's about to start. Hope you have your people.
That's the guy with the giant chain, right? Like the giantest chain ever.
I don't know if it seems like he might be meant to be a maester.
Because we don't know what maesters look like in this time period.
Exactly.
Because he does have a giant chain, but I figured it was like.
But he's also wearing like nice robes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because it's unclear. Maybe he's like a steward and they made the master of games and the steward like two different people.
Oh, there's in the book in this scene, Lord Leo Tyrell is there.
Yeah. Wait, but Leo, I hope that's not Leo Tyrell, because Leo Tyrell is a badass in this book. He's like, he's a jouster.
No, that wouldn't make sense. No, that wouldn't make sense.
I hope it's not him.
No, it's okay. It must just be like, random
Ashford
guy. Yeah. That's Stephen Targaryen crawling on the floor there.
And we get Bob Targaryen.
Yeah.
We get Dunk formally now in front of Baylor and Maycar and Arian and Lord Ashford and this guy formally requesting a trial by combat, which is essentially what Baylor is proposing in the cold open, is like, hey, if you don't do anything, they'll kill you, but you could fight. And that's kind of the only thing you got. Best case, they take a hand, but you also kicked him, so maybe they take a foot too. So now he's in front of, this is like the procedural part of, he's now got he has to literally ask for the trial by combat as a matter of protocol, and Arian declines, much to Maycar's chagrin.
Arian says, nah, I'm not feeling it. And Maycar, his father, is like, you motherfucker, you can't fucking decline. You fight him.
There is a look that Maycar gives Arian in the very opening of this scene as Arian is smashing the nuts. Very obnoxious.
I'm like trying to determine if that's is that a metaphor?
I'm not sure, but I know that there is a look that Maycar gives his son that is
yes, and the actor does a great. Oh, it's fantastic.
It's just annoying, and not a word has been said. And it's just so obvious that Maycar is so over his kids. It's like, these motherfuckers, like,
yes,
can't give me a moment's peace.
The one is drunk in an inn. The one is running away, shaving his head to be a squire. This one's killing Dornish puppeteers. I just want to relax.
And now, so this whole scene goes on. Arian declines the trial by combat, but not because he is trying to get out of fighting, but because instead he is proposing a worse trial by combat. And that is a trial of 7, which we learn is an ancient tradition passed down by the Andals.
I love this interaction because Baylor explains what it is. He's like, it's a trial by 7 where 7 people fight and the gods or whatever. It came over with the Andals. And Maycar goes, well, if it was the Andals.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, well, it must be real then if the Andals, bro.
I do love, there is like a cultural thing here of, I do like the idea of someone with a Valyrian heritage being like dismissive of Andal traditions. There's something kind of poetic about that of like, well, those aren't like, you know, it's almost like a Italian person being dismissive of France. Like,
yeah,
where it's like, well, that's Gaul. That's a colony, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Where it's like, we're, you know, Rome and but it's like 1,000 years after that was relevant.
Right.
So anyways, they come to the conclusion that, well, Arian can ask for a trial by 7, and Dunk is like, I don't know anyone.
Yeah, Dunk says, have you forgotten that I'm poor?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like, well, if you can't find 6 other people to fight with you, it means you're guilty and the gods hate you. And then during this time is when Arian makes the Lord Ashford's steward crawl on his hands and knees for a nut.
Yeah, again, confused, not sure why. I didn't watch the inside the episode this week, so maybe they explain it. But
maybe they make it clear.
Like, did we not have enough visually happening in the scene that we had to do that? I feel that they did have enough visually happening in the scene. So
there are literally, I mean, I think there are, well, I guess including Dunk and the random serving girl that wanders in, they have 7 actors in the scene. Like,
they have 4 speaking roles. Yeah, the Targaryens and Dunk all speak too. The other 2 guys at the end of the table are just paid extras and didn't get to speak. I do have a logistical question about trial by combat and trial by 7. So you have the right to demand a trial by combat. You also have the right to demand a trial by 7. But is this one of those things where it's like whoever shoots first, like, kind of fucks themselves? So like, what if Dunk had gone in and been like, I demand a trial by 7? Could Arian then say, no, I'm demanding a trial by combat, 1-on-1, and then they'd be like, it's the Andals, you know, like
yeah. Or is it a case of, if you demand a trial by 7, it's the triple dog dare, like you can't then downgrade it to it's like, well, he's demanding a trial by 7. Once you demand that, you can't actually demand a trial by combat.
That's what Arian did. Arian said, I triple dog fucking dare you to a trial by 7. That's great.
There is an amount of, it is really fascinating to me that, one, I do think the actors who play Maycar and Baylor and Arian, to be fair, have really nailed it.
Yes,
like, I think the performances are really strong. The idea that Baylor is clearly not thrilled, like, with the idea of a trial by 7, but he is more kind of like tense about it, where he sort of like tightens up a little bit. Whereas Maycar is like, are you a fucking coward? Like, what's wrong with you?
Well, because Maycar figures out immediately what his son is doing. And it's that his son is afraid to fight Dunk. His son is looking at this giant wall of a man and saying, nope. And deciding, like, you know, I'm gonna basically win by default because this guy's never gonna be able to find 6 buddies.
Right. He hides behind, it's funny because in the moment when he's being asked if he's hiding behind other people, he then hides behind his brother as a reason to demand it, because he says, well, Daron's honor was also challenged, and should he not have the ability to right this wrong on his own, when obviously Arian knows as well as anybody in that room that Daron is not, like, whether or not he is going to fight in this trial of 7, he's not making a difference in this trial of 7.
Right.
Like, it's not like, oh, well, if Daron's fighting, then
right,
you could call it wraps. It's like, Daron is having a hard time holding it together right now, let alone holding a sword or a lance or whatever.
Now, my question is, at this point, do you think Maycar, no, not Maycar, I'm sorry, Baylor, I'm sorry, I get my Targaryens. They all have the same name.
It's
do you think Baylor is planning at this moment the trial of 7 backup plan, which is, well, if I join is he doing, the math already to figure it out at this moment?
I think he is maybe reserving the right to be the tiebreaker if that's required, or like to be the one who makes sure that it happens. I don't know if he knows that he'll be involved specifically, but maybe he's kind of banking on the fact that the odds of Dunk coming up with 7 people are pretty slim. So he knows that for the trial to happen, it's not unlikely that he takes part. Now, what I would say is that Baylor, there is something that Baylor could have done with the Kingsguard in this, of if he had said from the get-go that in order to ensure that this trial is fair, and you've just demanded 7 people, I am not expecting you or your father or your brother to fight on Sir Duncan's side since he attacked you, Prince Arian. But I and one Kingsguard shall fight on Duncan's side as a way to ensure that the Targaryens do not swing, like, we do not swing the favor of the gods in one way or the other, and we will truly know which side is right, because it will not be the favor of the king or the favor of the royal family, like, more heavily weighed on one side than the other or something. You know, he could have like dressed it a lot in fairness and maybe tipped the scales a little bit more and ensured that it's like, okay, he's got, now we're starting from 3 and now he's just like he's got to find 4 people instead of like, okay, go find 6 knights and we'll check back in later.
Phil, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I take a few minutes just because I got a call from my parents and my mom has been sick? Can Absolutely. I just go off? Yeah. I'm just gonna mute and put my camera off. I'll be back. Yep. Give me like 3 to 5 minutes.
I'll keep chatting.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Yep. And so all right. So anyways, I thought this was a good scene, and the actors really sell this for me. I would have liked Arianne's like wound makeup. I would have liked his lip a little bit more split, and maybe a little bit more of the idea that, because Arianne's cocky, Arianne's supremely confident in this moment that he's outwitted Dunk. And I do think that I could have used him being like a little bit more intimidated, like physically intimidated by Dunk, because I do think that's part of the, like, that is a lot of the motivation for why Arianne comes up with this cockamamie scheme in the first place of, let's do a trial by 7, because if I fight this giant dude on my own, I'm probably gonna get wrecked. So yeah, I think the other thing that I was thinking throughout the scene is that, one, there is, me and Belak were just talking about the fact that the tone, like Dunk's tone with Baylor was pretty assertive. They kind of reel him in this scene, and I thought it was interesting that he's a little more nervous in front of the group, that yeah, he struggled a little bit more there. And I thought that was interesting because they just had him like very confident with the hand of the king, like one-on-one, but nervous in front of this group, which I guess it could make sense to a certain extent. The other thing that I really do enjoy is this Arianne portrayal, to me, is like really strong. The actors really just gives this like aloof, and just really is portraying the idea that like he just doesn't give a shit, right? Like he doesn't have any regard for the fact that Dunk is a human being. It's strictly, this is a poor person that harmed me. So like, I really do love the sort of devil may care attitude that he had. And I love how they positioned Maycar in the scene as being like, not just frustrated with his son, but really carrying like a decent level of disdain. Like, he really is not happy with Arianne, like across the board. He thinks it's ridiculous that he even did the whole trial of 7, because it's like, you're a prince, fight this guy, slay him yourself. And then Maycar snatches up his son at the end, where he's like, grabs him out of there. And I really did enjoy Maycar's whole attitude through that scene, because one is like, we're like all worried about the tradition and the, sort of the process and ritual of it all. I think that being sort of an annoyance to him, coupled with the fact that he has this like real problem with just like how his sons are behaving, but specifically Arianne, and like how disappointed he is in the one son who he is sort of relying on to be the one that is more traditionally princely. That to me is like the interesting dynamic here of Maycar is almost more angry because Arianne, it's like the one thing he can rely on Arianne to do is violence. So like when he wasn't doing violence, Maycar's like, the fuck is wrong with you? So
I'm here, I'm alive.
Hello. Everything good?
Yes, everything is fine.
Okay.
My mom just she's been a little bit sick, so I was making sure, because I have to go over there this weekend. And my dad called me, and I'm like, what is happening? So, but everything is good. She's fine. So thank you for holding down the fort. What were you telling me about?
I was just talking about the fact that I really love the Maycar portrayal here, and the idea that the one kind of constant for Arianne is like that Maycar can rely on is that of all his kids, he's at least got the like violent streak of
he can at least do violence. Yes.
Yeah, like when it comes time to fight an attorney or any of this stuff, he's not going to shy away from it like the rest of my kids or whatever, or like Daron, like specifically, I guess he would say, which we have not heard mention of Maycar's third son, who is apparently maybe studying to be a maester, or
who's that guy? I'm sure he doesn't matter.
Yeah. I can't think of anyone significant.
Yeah, exactly.
So he but the one thing he can count on from Arianne is violence, and in this moment he's like even more pissed off in that like he goes in pissed off about the fact any of this is happening, and that Arianne's being such a dick about it. And then he's even more pissed off because he's like, wait, okay, the one thing that I could count on you for is killing this guy,
right?
Yourself,
fight and kill.
Yeah. And instead you're doing some like religious bullshit like that I don't understand. And like, why are you overcomplicating this? You're pissing me off. Like, and Maycar is right now giving like guy who is like, I'm getting mad because the situation isn't as simple as I think it should be.
Yeah. And I think also like the show kind of introduced this thing that maybe I missed on the first read, because I think it's Baylor that says the line, he says to Aegon, the gods tell us to love our brothers, right? So Baylor has a brother, it's Maycar, and Maycar, right? I'm getting my Targaryens correct. Yeah, Maycar.
Yeah.
And Maycar is sort of like living in the shadow of his older brother, who's the crown prince, who's like very good, as far as we could tell, on the screen. Is like a cool, chill dude. And then meanwhile, all of Maycar's sons are fuck ups. So it's like, yeah, I could like that tension of like, just like one of you be good at one of the right things, just one of the right things. Just swing sword good. And why won't you just swing sword good and be done with this? And it's like, you're going to make this the first trial of seven in like hundreds of years or something. Yep. Like the last time this happened was when like the Cruel was on the throne, I think. What's his name?
Maegor.
There we go. When Maegor the Cruel. I think that was the last trial of 7.
Yeah, and that was back when essentially he, I think, leveraged it because specifically the faith was rebelling at that time.
Yeah.
So he did it as a specifically religious statement, which Arianne, I think the sort of irony in its deployment here is that it's quite clear that nobody involved in the situation is particularly religious.
Right.
Right. So they're invoking this like ancient religious ceremony of how we decide guilt, and the irony of it is that Arianne could not give less of a shit about the Seven, right? Like he clearly is not, a pious. He's not exactly Baylor the Blessed. Like,
no, definitely not. So from that scene, we go to Dunk talking to his horses in the rain, and he's like, "Shit, I think I'm gonna die tomorrow." And then our boy Raymond Fossaway comes up and gives Dunk a hug.
He's like, "I was looking for you."
He's like, "My bro, what's up?" And he gives him a hug, and I love it. And this is the opposite of toxic masculinity, and I love to see it.
When your bro gets arrested, like unjustly by the state, you go watch his stuff for him until he shows back up at the, where he was squatting or whatever.
This is weirdly applicable to modern life.
You go make sure that his horses or car or whatever are still there when he gets back.
Right.
And so Raymond takes him back to the tent, and unfortunately for both of them, Stefan Fossaway is also hungry and eating in the Fossaway tent. But we get this sort of like, wait a minute. Hey, I remember this psycho from episode 1 beating the shit out of Raymond, but he's being, while intense, he's being pretty vocal about the fact that like, hey, this is like, someone needs to teach them a lesson that they can't get away with this shit. And I thought this was interesting because the book doesn't really position Raymond as being, or Stefan as being ideological at all. At least not from what I remember. It's like, he might be like, I'll be the one who like tweaks Arianne's nose or something like that. And, but it is all in the interest of like, I will be famous if I fight in this and win, right? So like, anyone who fights in this is going to be famous. So like, this is a huge opportunity for me. This is a huge part. So I'm.
So one thing that he says here, and I forget if this is how it happens in the books, because we learn shortly later in the episode that he obviously betrays Dunk, whoopsie doodle, and is fighting on Arian's side. And at that point, Dunk is like, "But you said you were going to fight for me." And basically, Stefan reveals that he was pulling a trick. So is he tricking now? Has the trick begun? I don't think in the books that's how it worked, but I don't know.
I don't think that there was a trick. It didn't strike me as like, oh, there's already some sort of deal in place. To me, this is like, Stefan wants to be involved. Will do whatever it takes to be involved. And then, well, as we'll see later in the episode, he just takes whatever the best offer is. It's almost like Skyrim, where it's like you get quest givers, where it'll be like you get a quest and then you run into the other person in the quest and they're like, well, actually that person is lying to you and I will pay you more gold to kill them instead of me. And if you're playing a very certain type of playthrough, you're like, cool, I will take the gold.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, he was lying, but I now have a lot of gold.
The same kind of quest happens in the game I'm addicted to, RimWorld. So you have like your little colony, and you can have like stragglers come along who are like, we just need to stay here for a few days to regroup. And you're like, okay, come regroup with me for 5 days. And there's always a subsequent quest of like, someone evil has contacted you and wants you to kill the stragglers. They'll give you all of these things if you kill the stragglers. Will you kill the stragglers? And I'm like, no, not my pixelated friends.
Yeah, we've bonded over these 4 days that they've spent at my colony.
They've picked the corn in the fields? Absolutely not.
So Dunk is up to 1. He has Sir Stefan now on Team Dunk. The Stefan leaves, and then the tent is visited subsequently by Egg and a hooded figure.
Ooh, mysterious hooded figure who comes in, like keeps his hood on and is like just spooky, like around the edge of the tent. He's like, I am spooky, and who could it be? It's another fucking Targaryen. They're everywhere. We're infested.
Yeah, so we meet Daron officially. Now, we met Daron in episode 1, and he said cryptic stuff at the tavern. He was extremely drunk and said, I dreamed of you, and it was all very weird. And then now he's back, and he's quite clearly suffering from alcohol withdrawals.
The shiniest man on the planet. Skin. I gotta say, I was kind of like, what is the skincare technique, though? I was like, oh, it is the alcohol withdrawal, isn't it?
Is it alcoholism? How do you get that dewy look on your skin?
This is our new the TikTok skincare routine to get this dewy glow like Daron Targaryen.
All you have to do is binge drink for a week and then stop.
You'll see it. It'll be good.
The hangover that ensues will trigger a sweat response that gives you this nice dewy glow. So they wander in, and Egg is trying to get the skinny on like, so how many knights do you have fighting for you? And Dunk again reminds them, I am poor. And he realizes who Daron is and attacks him, which
not in the books, I don't think.
Bold move. I can't remember if he physically assaults Daron in
I don't remember, but I like in the show.
Daron has every right to be like accosted in this moment because it's like, you motherfucker, like all you had to do was tell them what actually happened. And this is I know I talked about this on the podcast, but for anyone who's curious about like, because Daron gets a lot of sympathy in this fandom for like, he's a dreamer, right? He's a dragon dreamer. He's
a dreamer, quote unquote. Jury's out on that one.
He's tortured by his dreams, which is why he drinks, which is why he's such like a piece of shit. And it's like, hey, listen, there are all kinds of like I said, alcoholism in and of itself is an addiction, and it is difficult, and a lot of people struggle with it. And Daron, what he says to Dunk is like, well, my dad was mad, and like I couldn't be like in trouble with my dad.
Exactly.
Hold on. So what you're proposing is that this poor person die rather than you be in trouble with your dad?
Well, this is just like Egg being like, but I had to be a squire at this very specific tourney.
Yeah. And like,
sweetie, not necessarily.
Right. The only like very valid distinction on Egg's behalf being that he is a child.
Yes. He is literally a child.
And Daron, unfortunately, is an adult behaving the same exact way. So I don't know why. I don't know if people are familiar with the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but there are sequences in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Andy Samberg and Chelsea Peretti go undercover as rich heir and heiress kids of like very wealthy people trying to get into this exclusive club, and they're like, wait till we tell daddy. And that's how I think of Daron. Like that's fun.
That is Daron. I just bring up
Daddy will not be happy to hear this.
Oh, Daddy would not have been happy if I told him that I just let Egg wander off, so I had to tell him that you committed high treason by kidnapping a prince. What's the problem?
Yeah.
There is a part in here that I'm curious what you think about it. So they included the line of Egg explaining how Arianne abused him as a child.
Yes.
Which I'm glad was included. And it again went back and reread the scene because I literally watched the show with the book and like checked, like I was like checking the citation. And it is correct that like all those people are there for that scene, but I found the way the line was delivered, and this is not against the actor because he clearly was directed to do this, because he delivers the line directly to Dunk, like he's looking at Dunk, he's like making eye contact.
Yeah.
And he's like, when I was a kid, Arian used to do this like crazy shit to me, and it was mean, and he also drowned my cat. And then Raymond Fossaway like chuckles at it, and Dunk gives Raymond like a look like that's not something to chuckle at, like it's not funny. But it kind of came off more as like, it came off more benign, I suppose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Than how I felt it in the text.
It felt like they delivered it in almost like Egg delivered it in a way where it was like, get all these words out.
And
don't let anybody think about it for too long.
Yeah.
One, because I think it is, it's a quite disturbing.
Well, I mean, Egg pretty much in the book, he's like, my brother's in the Epstein files. You should fight him.
Like the email is like, I have too many brothers. What if I made a sister? Like, married? Yeah. So it's like, it is deeply disturbing. And I'm not saying that they should spend a lot of time dwelling on it, but in terms of characterizing Arianne, it is an important thing where it's like, hey, we've seen this guy do violence to animals. We've seen this guy do violence to a woman and a lowborn woman specifically.
Right. And unarmed,
non-threatening.
Yeah.
And then now we are hearing that he has also done violence of a like sexual nature to his child sibling. And so you are really capturing the whole nature of like yeah, Arianne is like an aloof dick or whatever, but that is not who this guy is, right? Like he is far worse than that. And when Daron says like, yeah, he's like a monster, or he can be a monster, I think people like might miss a little bit of the severity of this because of how rushed that delivery is.
Yeah.
And then they're undercutting it. And I understand why they're trying to undercut it, because again, it is like a quite severe image and description of a very, just a very intense situation. And is there a little bit of Arianne's like edge that's being lost, where it's like, he's not just like a hot Targaryen prince who also is like an asshole. He's truly...
He's also like, he's not just a hot Targaryen prince who's doing violence to like side characters, right? Like he's doing violence to like one of our main characters who by this point in time the audience cares about, right? I was a little disappointed in the way that was done, because I do think it needed more. I think the impact of it is in the intensity of the implication of that line, because Egg never says like, and he also like did other things to me, but that is the implication of that line. And if you know George's writing, there's other brothers where that kind of stuff happens as well, so it's easier to pick up on. So I'm glad it was included, but I do think it took, the way that it was delivered and shot and everything took the edge off of how serious it was. Because I mean, he delivered the line about the cat being drowned with more passion than the first part.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it would even need to be particularly passionate. I think it would be the kind of thing where just like if he wasn't making eye contact, you know, if he like kind of was like looking away when he said it, that would sell it more to me that like he's only telling you sort of the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's how people are when they're telling you something like really important or traumatic or whatever. They're not like staring directly at you, you know?
And then Daron pulls Dunk aside to talk about who he thinks the traitors in the castle are or whatever. No, he tells him the dragon dream, and he's like...
Daron says, let's go on a walk and talk about me for a minute. Okay, listen. Yeah. I'm a dreamer, and man, do I need a drink.
And he tells Dunk about the dream where he dreamt that a dragon fell on Dunk, but then Dunk survived and the dragon was dead. And that's the extent of it. He doesn't know what it means. Daron is like grappling in the scene with like, is Dunk, like, what's Dunk's deal? And who is this guy, and why would I have like seen him in my dreams or whatever? I think the interesting thing is that the way it was positioned, again, I mean, it's essentially Daron is making a plea that like whoever the dead dragon is, just make sure that it's like someone good. They didn't, I don't think they, and I could be wrong, maybe I have to watch it back. Did he specifically say like make sure it's Arianne? Because that in the book, he is like explicit about the fact that like if my dream is coming true and you are you're gonna slay a dragon, just make sure it's Arianne.
No, they don't say that in the show.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I didn't catch that, because he is more like, I think he's just doing the calculus of like, if it's gonna be any of us, I don't want it to be me, I don't want it to be my dad, and I don't want it to be
the prince. Oh, no, I guess he hasn't no Baylor's in yet. He
he may not know Baylor's in, but at least like between him and his dad and Arianne, if he's doing like, if it's gonna be any of us, just make sure it's Arianne.
Yeah.
And so Dunk walks away with this like idea that, oh shit, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, is that something? Who knows? But I think Daron's portrayal again, like I think there's a very good performance being delivered here, but the actor is very much leaning heavily into this whole idea of Daron being sort of almost like a stereotypical prince. Like if you typed medieval prince into like an AI generator and like he just said stuff like that's what would get spit out.
They're on the ChatGPT prince.
Yeah, but this whole tortured prince thing just feels very like he's doing a good job of portraying that. And then we get Steely Pate back.
Well, just before Steely Pate, we get a little bit use of
That's right. Yeah.
Which I thought was very good. And actually, I was thinking about your analysis a few weeks ago, I think in our lost episode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The episode 2, where you pointed out rightly that the length of the shots was really weird. Like the way the editing was done in episode 2 felt odd, and the length of shot was like often too short. I found and we mentioned it at the top of this episode, the shooting of this episode, and I noticed it particularly here where he visits the now empty puppet tent, that I thought the length of shot was very good, and it gave space and time to like feel and understand that like Dunk was looking at the place where his whole life changed,
right,
and now it was empty. And I thought it was a very good use of Tanzelle. They used her voice echoing. They used one shot of her and her voice echoing, and then when they cut from that scene to Steely Pate, I think they used like her scream.
Yeah.
And it was like, ooh, I don't know what film student did that, but good job.
Right? Yeah, the echoes of those, and him hearing specifically her saying, "You're not a knight, you're Florian the Fool." Yeah. Like all of all this stuff is like just ringing around in his head. And I thought that was well done. And just showing not a lot of screen time and with literally no spoken dialogue in the scene, outside of Tanzelle's prior found footage or whatever.
The found footage of that.
Without that, like they did a good job of sort of capturing where Dunk's head is at, at this precise moment in time where he is essentially feeling alone, right? And I think that's a big part of it. And he is it's certainly not regret, but he's just thinking about the fact that like, oh well, just sucks that I'm gonna die, and like for defending somebody, right? Like that's so his thoughts being of Tanzelle in that moment are also indicative of Dunk's character. I think just of like anybody else would be thinking of themselves, right? Like so the fact he's sort of thinking about Tanzelle, and one of the first things he asks Steely Pate is about Tanzelle, of where they go, and so but we get Steely Pate back because Steely Pate did get the shield from Tanzelle before she left, and boy did Tanzelle do a wonderful job with it.
It's beautiful, it's great. But then Dunk does some media analysis of the shield with Steely Pate, and Dunk says, oh, fuck, the star is falling and it's sunset, which is night. This shield like rings. This is a metaphor for death, he says. Yeah. And Steely Pate says, don't say that on our podcast. The elm tree is alive.
Right.
Like look, and he's like, look at how green it is. Clearly those are summer leaves. Like it's doing great. And I'm like, this is the media analysis I came here for. Thank you.
Yeah. And we also get, which I do think the show could have used, and we'll maybe talk about it in a scene or two here, but I think we get the first sort of evidence that Dunk has made an impact on the small folk and non-nobles who are attending the tourney, because Steely Pate does all this, lets Dunk cry in his blacksmith wagon or whatever, and then offers the fact that, because Dunk is like, well, how much do I owe you? Because obviously, like, you did a great job. You literally rebuilt my shield. I didn't even ask you for that. And he's like, from you, a copper.
Yeah.
Right? Like, charges them essentially nothing for this. And I think the message you're supposed to receive in this scene is that, like, Dunk's actions defending the small, like, he's in that tent being like, ugh, now I'm gonna die because I did this. And then another fellow small folk person is like, I am taking care of you specifically because you did this thing.
Right. Exactly.
Like, no, it was good. And like, don't like don't get too wrapped up in the fact that they aren't happy about it, but that doesn't mean like that's not a morality judge. That is like that's legal or whatever.
Right, exactly. Like, remember Dunk ACAB. They don't like it, but we the people, we're cool.
All cops are bastards.
So I thought that was a very good scene. I love that.
One other brief thing. The inconsistency of the rain in this episode really did bug me a couple of times where I was like, is it raining or not? Like what?
Oh, yeah.
I know that time passes and in theory it can stop raining or start raining or whatever, but I did find it really weird that he's like talking to Daron and there's no rain, and then he wanders over to the tent and it is fucking pouring, and I was like, has a lot of time passed, or like
the rain machine read the script and said, okay, we got to stop. They got to stand outside and have their conversation.
Yeah, it's like, this is a talking scene, no rain.
Yeah. No rain.
But anyways, so he wanders over to the tourney grounds. Dawn is breaking, and it is becoming clear that now shit is going down. And Dunk is surprised to find that there are knights there ready to fight for him, because he is not thinking that is going to happen.
I think these are the same knights as in the books. I know you keep better track of the knight names than I do.
Okay, so this is one of my light gripes, because number one, they declined to say Humphrey Harding's name.
Say his fucking name.
And justice for Humphrey Beesbury, because Humphrey Beesbury is in this scene. It is specifically Humphrey Beesbury, because there's a later shot where his breastplate is 3 beehives. And
my house.
He's in yellow and black. It's our boy Humphrey Beesbury. Mm-hmm. And the two Humphreys get in disrespect. Like, and this is one of the things where I'm like, I have to stick to my guns, in the sense that when we talked about this show getting made, my big thing is that I thought it was really important that the 7 get characterization. All 7.
All 7.
And all we got was a scene of Robin Risling.
Mm-hmm.
In last episode with Dunk. We got Humphrey Harding's, as the person harmed by Arianne. I don't think they did a particularly good job of connecting. Hey, this is that guy.
I agree. I don't think so either. I think that there was I don't know the casual would catch that.
Like, I think the fact that he says, like, my leg is broken or whatever, there will be people who are like, is that him? Is that the guy from the horse thing? And then Humphrey Beesbury has not appeared on screen up till now. When the Humphreys, and I think it would have been a very cool thing there's a whole side story in the book of the Battle of the Humphreys, where those two guys joust and break like 14 lances against each other or something like that. It's like this epic duel that Humphrey Harding eventually wins. But the thing that you walk away from being like, oh, these Humphreys are like quite the warriors or whatever. And then when they both show up to fight on Dunk's side, you're like, okay, it's not like we're not cooked. Like, we have some genuinely good fighters on Dunk's side. And my concern is that his team feels kind of anonymous. And all we really know, aside from, because we obviously know Lionel Baratheon, we know eventually they get to the Raymond Fossaway thing, but we don't know Humphrey Beesbury. We don't know Humphrey Harding, really. We just know that Humphrey Harding was fucked over by Arianne, but you'd have to be closely watching. And then Robin Risling is the one-eye guy, and all we know is that he took a lance in the eye and rode with his eyeball hanging out or whatever in a previous tournament. But we haven't seen him do anything yet. So that's my minor gripe with this, is I think it should have hit more of, oh, these are the guys that don't got, because right now when he walks in, it's like, who are all of you?
Exactly. I completely agree. And I'm trying to fix it in my brain for how they could have done it, because so we had talked about what is this going to be name soup? That was something we were worried about.
Sure.
Was like, would this be too many names to happen? And George R. R. Martin is a name soup kind of writer. He's going to throw out a Luther Largent in there for 2 seconds and then kill that person. Like that happens.
Yeah.
So, but I think actually the fact that they're both named Humphrey helps. because if we had done a scene that was like, let's say 3 to 4 minutes of a jousting scene of them watching the joust of the Humphreys, like we could have shown on screen, we could have seen the checkers on the one side, the bees on the other. We could have had Aegon being like, one is Sir Humphrey Harging and one is Sir Humphrey Beesbury, but this is the joust of the Humphreys. Oh my God, 3 lances, 4 lances, 8 lances, 10 lances. Like it could have been like, and it wouldn't have taken a lot of screen time. We frankly could have done that instead of Dancing with Lionel Baratheon. Not that I don't love heated chivalry, I do, but we got a lot of Lionel Baratheon. We could have done that instead of like a tug of war, you know?
Yeah, that's my other gripe is the fact I do think it's criminal, and I don't think we can let the show get away with it. As again, I really love this episode. I think it was fantastic. Like there are so many things, and I was absolutely hyped at the end of it. And it is completely unforgivable that this is the first scene that we got of Lionel Baratheon genuinely in armor. Because why did we not see Lionel Baratheon in the lists up to this point doing the whole laughing storm thing? Right? Like
because we had him at the party spinning like a storm.
He was a hurricane.
Obviously, he's a hurricane.
That's my only thing. I can't let the show, as good as it is, and they are this close. Like they're really. It's like my daughter, where I'm like, you can't get away with everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can't let you off the hook for everything. There's certain things like you have to understand that this is not how this should have gone. I do think it's a shame that we did not get the duality of Lionel Baratheon, of he's the laughing storm, sure, a reveler, all that sort of stuff, but we already know a Baratheon who partied, right? Like that's not that interesting. Like partying Baratheon that's old hat.
Yeah.
The version of Robert that was still fit, and yeah, he could party, but he was still a fighter.
Deadly. He was deadly.
In a specifically sort of entertaining way, where this guy is he's kind of unhinged because he is laughing while people, it's like someone's lance touches his shield and he's like, you know, it's like, I do think that they could have benefited from that. And just seeing these guys and sort of building the tension of what eventually is the two teams here of, part of the tension that exists is like obviously the Targaryens are on one end. We have Maycar and Arian and the 3 Kingsguard. We got, some of the tension is that the Kingsguard are actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
And Dunk likes them. And
they're very dangerous.
And they are very good. It's not this is not a Balon Swan frickin' Marin Trant.
Right.
Kingsguard. This is not this is not
Catch Me Tell.
So I do think I really do wish that the Humphreys had gotten fleshed out a little bit more. I will say Ivy said in the chat too, which I neglected to say hi and welcome Ivy, but she did say that the like checkers for Humphrey do really stick out. I think like this show will, and I think this probably goes for the tone shift, the like all of this stuff. I do think that this show will benefit from a binge, which maybe suggests that it should have been a movie instead.
I was going to say,
because I think if you watch this in a row, the Humphrey stuff, like Humphrey Harding stuff, becomes quite obvious because you're going to go from like the end of the middle of an episode and then immediately the middle of the next episode. You're going to see, oh, yeah, it's that guy.
It's that guy. Yeah.
But I would say in the episodic weekly release of it all, a casual fan that has been enjoying the show, I think that is a bit of a tall order to say, this guy's leg is broken. Is it the guy who broke his leg in the last episode? Because also you didn't make it super clear whether you killed that guy with a halberd.
Yeah, with the axe. And I think too, what's frustrating about some of these issues is that they would be so easily buttoned up with very normal dialogue. But like we had this last episode too. There was like almost enough dialogue to button this up, because I think it's Dunk that asks Sir Humphrey, like, I thought your leg was broken, and he says, it is broken, but I can still sit a horse. If they had just given me 1 or 2 more sentences that says some shit about Arian. He could even say, but I can sit a horse. And this is Arianne's horse that they gave me after he broke my fucking leg. You know, like you could even like do something like that.
And Dunk had that moment with Arianne's horse when he arrives at, which I don't know if it's his war horse or whatever, but you could make it his war horse.
You could and Dunk notices horses. He's like, a car guy. Yeah.
Arianne's horse. Like, and he's like, yeah, Baylor gave it to me because he fucking killed mine. So
that would be cool if they had gotten like a particularly sort of unique looking horse, like a roan or a Appaloosa or something like one of those horses that has like spots of some kind, like maybe a dapple gray that's like a little bit different than the other horses.
Yeah.
And it had been like a trackable, distinguishable horse. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah. Come on, HBO, get this shit together. So can I say just two things about the beginning of the beginning of the scene? Lionel Baratheon, I think the only note they gave to that actor, they just said be as bisexual as possible on screen.
It's really crazy.
It's just crazy. I'm like,
it's queer baiting, but not queer baiting in the actual sense of the word. It's rage baiting people who don't think he's queer.
He literally looks Dunk up and down. At one point, he like looks sideways and like looks him up and down like this, and I'm like, whoa, it's Lionel. Like, we are in public.
Everybody seeing this? No.
And someone in chat asked about the armor earlier.
I did want to talk about because Barehand Shark talked about what do you guys think of the armor that Maycar wears, and do you think it's the same that he used in the Battle of the Redgrass Field? Which that's an interesting angle.
I don't know.
Hard to know how many suits of armor the Royals have, but
probably
the armor more. We can start kind of with all the armor and work our way to the then up here.
I really noticed it first with the Fossaway when Stefan came on and he had those fucking pauldrons with the apples and shit. And I'm like, apples are kind of a shitty house sigil, but if you're gonna have them, like that's how you do it, man. Like that looked really super cool. And I was like, man, I never thought apple armor. I'd be like, that's what I want.
No, it looks sick. And I think the thing that really stuck out to me about this scene is I would say, because I know we got that night jousting scene where we got some good armor flashes, but we didn't get like details. What I really loved about this is all of the armor had the sort of George larger than life and like overly decorated feel that like, because George, when he describes all this armor, it's like people picture Game of Thrones, which is just like they're literally just putting people in plate or mail or whatever. And then like the actual description in Game of Thrones will be like, Titus Brax wore a purple lacquered unicorn helm, or whatever. And it's like, so I loved this scene because it was specifically over the top. Like there were these touches, and it's like, and it actually did scale a little bit in like and I don't know if I can't possibly know if this is why they did it, but it did feel like it scaled in a specifically sort of realistic way around how much money the house has, where Lionel's is like, he's got this crazy antlered helm with this like grill or whatever, like, and he's got one sort of like an asymmetrical like pauldron and like
he's
all
a
this
fashionista.
Sort of,
he's doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
He's like the lines just need to fall a certain way. And so the Fossaways like with the stamped apples like into the armor or whatever, and the but then the Harding and Beesbury armor was like not as over the top, like still ornate in a more subtle way, and like still showing who they are or whatever, where the Beesbury gets his little beehives. But I really did like that. I think it's probably the first time that I've truly felt in a HBO A Song of Ice and Fire adaptation that they were leaning into the over the top feeling of the armor and arms and all this sort of stuff. It just felt like they didn't shy away from being a little bit fantasy, which like in a show that has the least fantasy elements of any of their shows.
Actually,
it's the most fantasy that it's felt like in certain aspects, like the armoring.
And they were writing the script and they should, we forgot the whimsy. Put the whimsy in. Put them in the armor. The armor's the whimsy.
The armor.
Look at these apples. No, I really liked it. I think also this is kind of what happens when you design armor and you're not just like this is dark and this is grim, and it's
Mhm.
if you wanted a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. I'm so dark and spooky. Boo. You know, like
This armor, the only thing this armor is
is
going to do is subvert your expectations.
that's what's happening.
I do want to talk about the Targaryen armor because it was specifically asked about.
And it didn't look like Eva Craft foam this time. It looked good this time.
Yeah, and Maycar's armor was specifically mentioned, but I would say each of the Targaryen, like in the scene, I really we had gotten a glimpse of the Kingsguard armor. We don't get a great look at it in this scene as we did before, but crucially, and we talked about this. This is another thing we talked about on Wicked Witches of Westeros, and I see Eric's in the chat now. Was
hi Eric.
Crucially, like the Kingsguard armor for the first time in this is their third attempt, right? Because they've done several editions, or I guess third different show. They did 3 or 4 different designs in Game of Thrones across 8 seasons. They didn't once make it across Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. They've never made it white.
Yeah, that's true.
Where it was like, crucially, it's supposed to be white.
The one feature of the Kingsguard armor.
Where it's like in this show, it is white, which is like a big improvement. And then I do love, and I think I'm very interested to see next episode visually how it all gets shot, because Dunk has, if I remember right in the books, a specific vision of the other team being Targaryens in black and Kingsguard in white, and thinking about the fact that it's like this, like, there's this like juxtaposition, like whatever. I really hope that visually like comes across, because his feels more ragtag and the other team is literally like Targaryen, Kingsguard.
Yeah.
So I am really looking forward to that. But the detail in the Targaryen armor this time, I mean, a couple of things, I guess, like the one is I like the fact that it does feel like a dragon house without dragons, where they're like everything is dragon, because I crucially don't have one, right? So like I have to remind you that of all of the dragon stuff.
You ever see like one of those, like, I don't know if this happened in your family, but like those like mom kitchens where like your mom picked like one animal and the whole kitchen is that animal, like the chicken kitchens. Sure. Where like everything is chickens for some reason, or like the horse kitchens, everything is horses. For my mom, it was grapes. Everything was grapes. Our whole kitchen, grapes. Sure. I'm like, is this an Italian thing? I don't understand, but it was just grapes up and down. And we didn't ever have any grapes or wine, but we had grapes everywhere else. So like, it's kind of the same thing. It's like they got one thing, and they're going to stamp it on everything.
Yeah, I do love the horse armor detailing too, of giving them like dragon. They have like the sort of small scaly little bits and horns and stuff off of there,
and along the neck too, like the plate along the neck kind of looks like that. No, it's really very creative. You know, the designers over at the King's Landing are struggling every season to find a new way to make something look like a dragon. What are we doing for this spring? What if we do dragon florals? Florals for spring. Had a new idea.
Yeah. And that's just
devil wears or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's the oh my god, I do love that. And the idea that they're like accidentally generating new theories about the dragons every time that they make a design.
Yeah.
Where they like do dragon florals, and then they're like, what if dragons are plants?
Exactly.
New theory just dropped.
But the armor overall, I think very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. And I do think there is something to how this was all shot, how it's all positioned. I just really visually it was very striking, and it leads into this whole sequence of Dunk is scrambling because he doesn't have enough people, and we get the Fossaway, like, curse you and your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Yes, exactly. It's that song from Lion King 2, The Deception. It's like deception, disgrace. Oh my gosh. It's actually kind of a banger. It's like the Lion King 2. Yeah, everyone go look up the Deception song. It's good. Yeah. So the Fossaways have this betrayal, and we learn that Stefan Fossaway is actually fighting on the other side because it sounds like he's being made a lord for doing so. Yeah. And also fame and fortune, which is just like so shitty of Arian to do that. Like Arian could have anyone on his team, but he specifically takes one of Dunk's. Like he picks one of Dunk's guys. Yeah. Just to rob him of it. And I still think, and I think this comes across in the show, in the hopes of winning on default. Because also this rule that you need to have 7 or you forfeit is just thrown on Dunk at the last minute. Nobody told him that. There was
I think they mentioned it in the room with Baylor and Maycar, but it's like it's not made abundantly obvious that if you don't get to all the way to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they say like if you can't find people to fight with you, then like clearly you're guilty or whatever. But they don't say like you actually need to fulfill the entire rank of 7. It can't be less than. Mm-hmm. And so because like then they tell Dunk like, well, you're shit out of luck because you got 5. Right. And our boy Raymond is like, fucking knight me right now, bro. Knight me right fucking now. And I will fight for you. And Dunk says, ooh. Yikes.
It's really funny how, like, I know that there are people probably upset now about the fact that, the show is making it so obvious that Dunk's not a knight. It's like, hey, so all of those scenes that are making it obvious that Dunk's not a knight are in the books.
They're in the text, my friend.
Yeah. Like, I hate to break it to you. This scene happens exactly like this. Yes. Where Dunk is like, I shouldn't. You know, you're a squire, whatever. And it's like, he is it's maybe made a little bit more obvious by visually see him holding his sword, like
sweating, like beads.
Where Lionel literally says, like, any knight can make a knight, and Dunk is like,
what a fascinating thing to say, Lionel.
Like, no, I know.
Yeah, I know how this goes. This happened to me.
I think they're calling me.
Yeah. Oh wait, my mom needs me. Hold on, I gotta.
I actually have to go.
My mom said I can't make anyone a knight today. I'm sorry.
We get the plea because Dunk is still short a person, and we get Dunk confronting the noble knights of Westeros seated in the stands, like, who will fight on my behalf, and they are all happy to sit in silence. And like the couple of lines that, you know, from the ripped from the text are like, has courage fled the noble houses of Westeros. I refuse to believe it, which believe it, Dunk. There is only courage in the sense that they are courageous to expend you on their own behalf. And then are there no true knights among you? The delivery here really strong, and I think Peter Claffey really did show off what he can do in this.
I have the teeniest, tiniest little nitpick, which is that the way they shot. Oh, the fart was fine. I was neither here. At first, that guy stood up, and I'm like, "Are they changing the source material? I'm making it different." And it wasn't. I was like, okay.
They knew exactly how to trigger you. They're like,
immediately triggered.
We're gonna get those podcast folks with this one.
I didn't mind that so much, but what was distracting me was the way that they physically shot Dunk on the horse moving. I don't know why he wasn't always centered in the shot. Like, there were shots where he was almost off the side of the screen.
Sure.
And they were shooting it, I think, from the wrong angle. So they were shooting it like almost following him. So he was kind of turning to the crowd, but the camera's like still behind him. So it was like a weird kind of 3/4 half, profile shot. It was a little bit odd. I thought they should have shot it from the front of the horse, like him coming towards, and that would have resolved that problem, because it distracted me when I was watching it. I was like a little confused because he wasn't really talking to camera, and sometimes he was talking away from camera, and I was just a little confused by that. But otherwise, I thought very well delivered, very well done. I had all the feelings about it.
Yeah, I think one of those speeches, and it was just delivered extremely well. And then Dragon Ex Machina,
da, 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 da.
someone rides onto the field, and it is Prince Baelor. Prince Baelor Breakspear is there, and he says, "I will fight at Sir Duncan's side." And Maycar is like, "The fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like, he attacked my son, which is in the books, and we get sort of a readback of, I think the show wrote this a specific way in his interaction with Baylor to match up with, like, to make this sort of a bookend of Dunk presents Baylor in that initial confrontation in his study or whatever, or in Ashford Castle with, do all knights not take the same vow to defend the innocent?
Right.
Which I don't think he says in the book specifically. No. I don't think he makes that sort of plea to Baylor, but I thought it worked extremely well, because in the books, Baylor tells Maycar he did what all good knights should, or he defended the innocent as all good knights should, and that was like just a really powerful way to end the episode. And I think connecting it back to his conversation with Dunk and making it feel more directly. I did like the fact that they made it feel more directly like Dunk essentially not convinced, but won Baylor over enough to where it was Dunk's actual plea and situation that moved Baylor to intervene, versus like Baylor just being like a swell guy who's like having pity on him or something like that. It's like, no, he was like moved to be involved, and I think the show making a more direct connection, I did actually really like that.
Yeah, that's a very good example, everyone, of show don't tell. You have shown how one character affected the other through very simple lines of dialogue. This show is a very good example of show don't tell, if you're ever wondering. Like there's plenty of really good examples. Honestly, that's a really good one.
I honestly think that there is a lot in here of like, modern television doesn't do this shit anymore, because they are in a tell don't tell, like tell and tell and tell and tell, because no one is actually watching, they're looking at their phones, so like just keep repeating the plot over and over and over again forever. And I love that they have eschewed a lot of that in the show. There is a bunch of times that they decline to explain. Now, there are times where I wish they were more explicit about shit, like saying Humphrey Harding's name and stuff like that.
Say his name. Why are we so afraid of saying his name?
But I do like that in general, for some of these moments, they are not doing as much audience hand-holding for specifically like, well, you have to watch the show to like get the show. I like that. Right? Like, make people watch it. Like,
and people will.
If people get to the end, I don't fucking understand what was happening. And it's like, okay, and did you watch it?
Right, exactly.
Like, did you watch the show and like listen to the words being said?
I completely agree. I think that it's written very cleanly. And it's you know what it is? It's very similar to how the novella is written, in that Martin also doesn't spend a lot of time in the novella being like, and then Dunk realized that classism is a problem, and he is suffering from classism. And actually, like Martin doesn't do that either.
For Dondarrion, who is a dick.
Remember Dondarrion, who looked at him evilly with evil eyes and a dickish smile, said, like that's it. They're, I think one of the things that's a big positive of the show is that they're capturing the writing quality of George R. R. Martin. There are, like I said, we've highlighted a few times where we thought like a little bit more dialogue would have been useful, but like those are nitpicks.
Yeah,
we are nitpicking. The show.
I do have one last nitpick, and it is armor related, and it is in this reveal with Baylor. As I was standing in my living room and clapping, you
too.
as we were all collectively yelling, "Let's fucking go!" across time and space, because everybody watched this episode at random times. But as we were all collectively doing that across time and space, as he walked, I thought, so they clearly, and I do think that there's a version of the show that exists that is like 10 or 15 minutes an episode longer than what we have. Maybe just 10. Maybe like it might just be 10. But I do think that there is a longer cut of the show because Baelor rides in wearing a helm.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, the reason for this is that Baelor's armor is not at Ashford. He doesn't have Baelor's armor. His son, Velar, who is in the jousts, is the armor that he uses for this because he has to borrow it because he doesn't have his. And when he rides in, it is Prince Velar's armor that he's wearing, and he's wearing Velar's helm, and everyone has this split second of like, is that Velar? And why the fuck is Velar here? And then Baelor takes the helm off, and everyone's like, holy shit, it's Baelor Breakspear. That's fucking crazy. Yeah. And I do think that it's obvious because they shot it this way that there is a version of this scene in which they say, is that Velar? But this version of the show didn't do a whole lot of showing who Velar is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they cut that from the end of, oh, no one will know Velar. Yeah. So they won't have that. Like, but if that was the case, Baelor would have ridden in without a helm on, in my opinion. Like, because all it does, it disguises him briefly, but this is a very foggy scene. So they could have shot it with him just being unhelmed, and you'd be like, wait, who is that? And then it comes into focus or whatever. Like, him being helmed was not particularly significant for the scene, because if he rides through the gate and it's like, holy fuck, it's Baelor, that like be the same level of reveal.
Yeah, I agree. And I think actually you're spot on. I was wondering about that too. And I was actually thinking before the episode, I was thinking about Velar, just as you do. And I was like, we really haven't seen him in this show. I think we saw him in episode 1 or something, or maybe
we got in the episode, I guess, in episode 3 when Arian, well, we get, I think, a split second shot of him in episode 2. And then in episode 3, when Arian challenges Humphrey Harding, he rides up and says to Velar, don't worry, I'm not challenging you, cousin.
Yeah.
But it's also not like, it's not obvious. Like, I don't think they even necessarily say like, oh, that's Baelor's son, Prince Velar.
No, I don't think they do. So
I wonder, or maybe they mention it, but even so, like they don't emphasize, and we never see him helmed or jousting, which all it would take is one scene establishing this is what Prince Velar and his armor look like, to then do this reveal that way.
Yeah,
right?
No, I completely agree. And I wonder actually, and in the book, I didn't get a good look at Baelor's armor here, but in the book he has thematically significant helmet that has 3 dragons on it.
Yes. And he does not have a thematically significant helmet.
Damn it. I love a thematically significant helmet.
No, in fact, he's got, I think this helmet has, and I'm trying to get a good look. So this helmet does not have a crested dragon helm. It is this like ridged sort of like pattern. I don't know. It's like a superhero Marvel mask.
Okay.
Black Panther. And it looks like maybe there's a dragon tail or like ridge down the middle of it with a little like tail on the back. But it's definitely not. Now that tail on the back could play a role if that's like busted off or whatever.
I really kind of need the 3 heads to do the
the
metaphor kind of falls flat, but I mean we'll get there. We'll see what happens.
We will.
Because if they did have a show that they originally shot to be like 45 minutes, and HBO, Daddy HBO came over and said no, you must shorten it, and they had to pull out like a subplot, pulling out the Velar. You can pull out, obviously, as the show is progressing, you can pull out the Velar subplot.
Yeah.
And it still functions.
What's interesting is, if I remember right, the whole Velar thing was something that was in the back of my mind throughout this whole, as we've been watching this season, because he was one of the roles that was not announced as being in the show, like as cast, until like very late. Which to me indicates that either there was a cut of the show where they were unsure if he was going to make the actual edit. Like, would they announce a character and then when people watch the show and he's not in it, they're like, is that weird? So they didn't announce him as cast until very, very late in the game. And it's quite clear that in terms of overall screen time, I would say we will see Velar one more time, right? Like,
yeah,
I think they're scene, because where we go now that we are reaching the end of the episode, Maycar's pissed off, Baylor's fighting on Dunk's side. The fight is about to happen. And we also know that this is 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So I was confident that episode 6 would be the fight, because the epilogue of the actual novella is brief.
Yeah.
There are like maybe 3 scenes in the aftermath of the fight. Yeah, like...
Yeah.
It's like the immediate aftermath, the thing that they have to do because of the aftermath, and then the conversation that Maycar has with Dunk because of the aftermath.
Right, yeah.
And that's kind of the whole, I think that's everything, basically, that happens in the book. And then there's another conversation that Dunk has that makes me think that Velar will be in one more scene. But it's interesting to me that they ended up including him, but not making his inclusion, like, significant to the plot or this, like, reveal, which in the books it is, it is a very brief but significant misdirection of, who is that? It's Velar. Wait, no, it's not. It's not Velar. And I do think that it's interesting to me that they included him, but then chose not to do
Yeah, we'll have to definitely revisit this, because the fact that he's been absent, I'm curious how that will affect things.
Right. Because, like, if all of a sudden he then comes back and interacts with a main character in the last scene, will everyone be like, wait, who's that? Is that the bad guy, or is that a different guy?
And, like, that guy's hair is brown. He can't be Targaryen.
Hair is brown.
So that,
Very interesting.
I do have thoughts about... Okay, so one other thing. They ended on the Game of Thrones theme. They're allowed to do it this time.
They are. It was awesome. A sufficiently epic moment. I do wish there... Here's my only... I would say I would have loved, because we have a lot of, like, interesting original music occurring in the season of the, like... It's like scored like a Western.
Yeah, kind of.
A lot of it. Those, like, whistly kind of, mandolin, whatever things. And what I would have enjoyed, and even if you use themes or motifs that are reminiscent of the Game of Thrones theme, but do its own, like, I would have enjoyed something else as an original piece of music to show the, like, tone shift or whatever. But yeah,
they don't have, for these characters, they don't have other music. So, like, in House of the Dragon, there is a theme for Rhaenyra. Like, Rhaenyra has her own theme.
Yeah.
And it's, it's in the same vein as the da 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 da, because it's like kind of thing. Yeah. But there isn't, I can't even remember from the Bad Show if there was, like, a Targaryen theme. Like, did Daenerys have her own music? Daenerys must have had her own.
Yeah, almost certainly.
So I'm surprised they wouldn't, like, harken back to that, or just make a new one. Like, they could have established in, early on in the season, a new Targaryen theme when the Targaryens first arrived. Like, they could have done stuff like that. So I didn't hate it, because it was a very epic scene, and I was standing in my living room clapping, shouting, "Let's go!" Of course. And I was like, okay, fine. If you're gonna do it, this is fine. Okay.
Yeah. Some people are excited for the Super Bowl. I'm excited for the Trial of 7. Like, there are levels.
Exactly. Your Super Bowl advertisement idea was genius. Someone should give you $1 million right now.
I'm retroactively getting upset with HBO for not seeking me out about this idea that I just came up with.
I am perpetually retroactively getting upset with HBO that's my 50% of my personality is just retroactively getting upset with HBO.
Well, I mean, I literally posted a TikTok yesterday about getting triggered by HBO's TikTok.
Yes.
So, like, I am getting perpetually retroactively mad at them. I'm like, don't try to take credit for something that you fucked up.
Yeah, fuck you guys. So I have a question. So there was a line earlier that was said by Stefan Fossaway, where Dunk is like, they're the dragon house or some such thing. And Stefan's like, and where are the dragons? The dragon house with no, and he says there's a dragon house with no dragons. My house was here before them, and we will be here long after them. And that's pretty much put like hitting the nail on the head theme-wise.
Sure.
This show, more so than the books, is including this thread that the small folk are dissatisfied with the current administration. Yeah. Right? Like the approval rating is low. We're down at like Bush era approval ratings in the low 30s. So do you think, and I didn't watch the next week on, so I specifically didn't for this reason. Do you think that during the trial of 7, the small folk will get involved?
So it's an interesting thought, because the small folk there was the civil disobedience that occurred
for the one horsey.
Arianne. Yeah. So I was actually kind of surprised that there wasn't more vocal. Like, Dunk is getting sort of like good vibes from the small folk when he's appealing for somebody to fight on his team. I was expecting the small folk to actually start to take a more vocal.
I was too. I was thinking that would happen.
I thought that they might start, especially with the fart thing. I was like, this could be where they actually overstep, where it's like, no, now they're shaming a person or like mocking a person that the small folk actually love now. And I do think the book does a better job of showing how sentiment has turned for Dunk in like among the small folk. But yeah, I found it a little bit interesting given the fact that they like straight up rioted when Arianne killed the horse. It did feel like odd that they were so quiet in this.
So there is a little bit.
Are they waiting?
There's a little bit of space because assuming the next episode continues to follow the book, there's like, this is not like a major spoiler, this would be probably the next thing we see. There's like a little powwow that the teams each have and like make their strategies. So it's not like they turn around and immediately start jousting. Like there's going to be like a little like more talky time. Yeah.
They have to huddle, come up with a play.
They say 1, 2, 3, let's go. You know, like
exactly. Yeah.
No, they can't. Sorry.
They give the hype up like pregame speech and
exactly.
Coach Baylor is going to sit them down and be like, okay, guys, we got to execute. We got to like.
The college scouts are here. We want to make a good impression.
Hustle, have heart, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Like,
make sure to have fun though, you know.
Night lights.
So there's a little space in the beginning of the next episode where there would be time for there to be small folk interaction. And I actually think after Baylor comes out and joins Dunk's side, maybe the small folk feel more free to interact, and they could do things like shout, like, you know, like shouting to Dunk like things he should do. You know, like, you know, go for the knees for him, or like make sure to, you know, keep you know, may your lance be strong or whatever. You know, like shit, like you know, shit that like sports fans shout basically. From the stands. So I think, I wonder if they're going to fill some of this time, because we do have another hour of TV left on this. I wonder if some of this is going to be small folk reaction kind of stuff.
I am quite interested to see how long the actual trial sequence ends up being. Because in page description length, obviously George takes time to sort of like, he gives this sense that time is dilating for Dunk in the book. Everything is taking a long time in his mind, because you know, there's even studies on human stress response and things like that, and there is genuine like people who undergo their perceptions of time change when under extreme duress, and visual acuity and all this other stuff can like be impacted by it. And so anyways, like, it gets dilated in the books. I wonder if they will play with that in terms of how it's shot, because I do think as a sequence, like if you just straight up, it's almost like D&D where, you know, it's like you spend 2.5 hours doing a single battle like in D&D, and when you get to the end and you're like, how long did that just take? And it's 6 seconds per round. So it was like, that was like a minute.
Right.
And it's like start to finish. And it's like, okay, so I think that's kind of what might happen, where it's like, because if you just set up a camera and shot the actual action that's described in real time, I think the fight is over in, like, no joke, like a minute or two.
Well, with the jousting portion, I mean, it couldn't be more than 5 actual minutes of fighting. It couldn't be.
Like, I don't think that
like,
people can.
Stretching.
Like,
I don't think people can do that. Yeah.
I don't think people physically can fight in armor. Yeah. Like all out. And that's another, like, you know, just whatever, like a like medieval warfare thing of, I think people like have this idea that it's like this battle took all day and it's like, oh my God, like a knight just swinging a sword for 24 hours. It's like, no, that's like not possible. Like,
no, definitely
they would have been superhuman. Like they would not be people, they would be giants or something. Anyways,
I could definitely see them working with like slow-mo kind of stuff. And yeah, I could see them doing some interesting things with that. One thing I hope is one thing I hope is that the fog clears up, because I want the small folks to be able to get a good view. The fog is a little much. Anyway.
I am curious. I do think they'll also probably play with the idea of perspective, because
we know they will, because we've seen promo shots of the camera within the helmet.
Yeah.
So
I think because the story is literally from Dunk's POV, in the book, you literally only get his perspective of the battle, and it is chaotic and messy, and he doesn't know what's going on, and he sees flashes of things, but he doesn't actually see what's happening. So I do think it'll be interesting to see how they stick to that, because there's no way they shoot the entire sequence from inside the helm, right? Like there's gonna be like, that would be one, everybody would like just straight up puke from the sickness of it all. So I think like you would have to, like, you're going to have to shoot it differently. Like you're going to have to mess with perspective. You can't just live in Dunk's head the whole time. And I think there are certain ways that if you shoot certain perspectives of certain things, you fundamentally change how the story of that fight is actually told.
Yeah.
Because if the audience has a lot more information than Dunk, I don't think that will actually be that good. I think it needs to be as like chaotic and ambiguous for the audience as it is for Dunk. You don't have to shoot it from his POV the whole time, but it does have to feel like you can't exactly know what's going on, aside from I see white armor, I see black armor, I see checkers, I see bees, I see like whatever, you know, that's the sort of stuff that I think you can lean on visually. The antlers, like I think that's the one thing too that they almost had to. It's like Transformers, where I don't know if you remember the Transformers movies, but it was like, hey, Michael Bay, you actually can't make every single Transformer silver, because now no one can tell what Transformers are fighting. And it's the same deal with the armor of like the one thing that we will really benefit from with the leaning into the design is people will be able to tell who's who in the fight.
Right.
More easily. Not perfectly, but more easily.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like really long action sequences are actually quite boring to watch. In James Cameron's Avatar, the original one, not these like weird sequels he's made, which was at the time a very good movie. There's like a really long battle sequence towards the end of what is a 3-hour movie. I think it's like a 30-minute battle sequence. And I remember the first time watching it and every subsequent time watching it being like, this is too much. Like, I get it. It's exploding, you know? So there's only like, you have to keep it interesting. I think you have to like really choreograph it. One thing I'm thinking is in the actual fight, and I'm just scanning the page, Dunk and, what I'm going to say is this. Perhaps Dunk will have more interactions with more of the enemy.
That was kind of what I was thinking is like, does he actually come across more people to demonstrate some of the things? Because there's stuff that he thinks or they talk about during either the pregame or during the battle that he thinks about that won't be clear visually.
Well, it's also possible that they show us like what's happening with Dunk, but give us flashes of what's happening with others.
Right. And that's what they can do that. I think there'll be a little bit of that. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how it's shot. I do think it's fascinating that, because I really did think that episode 4 would be the scavenger hunt for knights. Like I thought that would be the whole episode, would be sort of the conversation, like the actual introduction of the trial, the conversation with Baylor, the scavenger hunt, the Daron and Egg conversation, the Stefan thing, and then I thought it would end like I thought it would be spaced enough to where, and then the Steely Pate stuff and the armoring and all that sort of stuff, and then I thought it would end basically as like dawn breaks, right? Like I sort of
thought, actually
like,
get into the turning ground.
Yeah. So like the next episode would be sort of all of the pre stuff, and then episode 6 would be the actual trial. And now the actual trial is like close.
The beginning
like it won't
of
start. It
Yeah.
won't be. It's not. You know. It's not. Whatever, the Battle of the Gully, where we promise like episode 1, it's gonna happen or whatever.
Oh, but the Battle of the Gullet, you mean? Come on.
Oh yeah, the Gullet. My bad.
The Gullet. Fake fan. You've been found out. The whole thing. Fly.
Shut down the podcast.
Quick. What was Jaehaerys' wife's name? Go. What was her birthday? Go.
Alisan. The birthday though, I don't remember.
Fucking fake fan, guys. What color was Vhagar in the book?
Talk about months. How can we know when somebody's birthday is?
What color was Vhagar in the book? Vhagar in the books was probably white, everyone, in case you didn't know.
Also, anyway. Justice for well, not Lady Ashford. What are they?
Oh, the girl whose birthday it is?
The girl whose birthday it is. Justice for her. They didn't even she ran up to Dunk, was weirdly mean, and right before he talked to Baylor, ran off, and then we saw her one more time.
She's like, this is supposed to be my super sweet 16, not the first trial of 7 in 200 years.
Yeah, right after that scene with them across, like she is actually in the next room over, and Lord Ashford walks back there, and she starts stamping her feet and screaming like Veruca Salt about the fact that like they're ruining my party.
Yes, I didn't want Targaryens. I wanted another.
So yeah, but no, overall, like, wonderful episode. I really
the episode was half an hour. We've talked about it for 2 hours because
I know it's our curse, and we're also the benefit of recording on a Friday is I feel very free right now. Like I feel like no responsibilities.
Next week, I promise I will return to my basement studio. This week and last week, you got post-work, Caroline. I got here and I said, quickly, I need to podcast, and I put headphones on.
Well, yeah, we'll get back to normal, but well, thanks everybody for hanging out. Caroline, with I know we talk about where else we can find
you can technically find me on TikTok, at Belok at TikTok. I do also another podcast with my friend Gretchen, House of Fire and Blood. That's a very close reading of the Fire and Blood books. And we're almost at the end of the Dance with Dragons on that one. We're nearing the end of the dance. And if anybody wants to read my silly, very normal zombie story, the link to my Substack is in my TikTok account. That would be great. I would love for you to read it and send me feedback. It'd be fantastic. I am sending out new chapters. I promise, Phil. I promise. They're coming.
I've been waiting.
They're coming.
And I'm excited to read them.
I wanted to send out 2, so I was trying to get the second one edited tomorrow.
No rush.
And besides here on the good old YouTubes, where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok as well at Damon Bachfire. I feel like TikTok's let me out. Larry Ellison's trying to like win me over because TikTok's let me out of jail a little bit in terms of some of my videos are actually performing. And I'm trying not to get too sucked into, I allowed myself to get sucked into some Game of Thrones discourse, and I forgot that I don't like that, and I don't talk about it for a reason. I like talking with y'all who have like a,
critical thinking skills,
a basic grasp of theme and understanding of what type of stories being told to you. And anyways, I've been let out of jail slightly, so I have my political parodies and all that sort of stuff. It's my subversive way of getting stuff into the algorithm that isn't overtly
the algorithm has been weird recently.
The algorithm is it's a mess. I would say it's getting better. And it does have the feel of like, hey, they just hit the reset button on some of this stuff.
That is what happened.
Now, don't get me wrong, I do think, like, I don't think for a second that there isn't also nefarious things going on, right? Like, because the amount of, especially early on, the amount of stuff that they felt comfortable showing me that is very in opposition to my algorithm, that didn't feel like an accident. And at the same time, I would say it is leveling out a bit. I can't say it's normal yet. It feels better than it did. And my videos are actually getting some traction sometimes, which is a nice change of pace from the last like 4 months where it was like, we're just not going to show anyone this if that's cool.
Sometimes Clock Daddy punishes you. And you don't know why.
I thought, I mean, I guess I was under the impression that you'd show it to at least the people who follow me. And they're like, oh, no, definitely not. Actually, least of all them.
I've actually, for your videos, I've been getting videos of yours from December recently.
And that's, I had somebody comment today on a video that I made today of like, oh my God, I've missed your content so much. It's like, I've been posting consistently. Like, I did, like, over the holidays, I was definitely like slower. So I could understand if someone, like, if I got punished around that time or whatever. But yeah, if I'm just popping up now, it's like, oh, I've been posting basically every day for the last 8 weeks.
Good if you haven't seen anything, content.
But that's it's only because there's this brief time right before I start working when my creative, like, I have this overlap of like my creativity and my desire to yell about something exactly like precisely. And so yeah, and it's like, if I make a video then I make it, and if I don't make a video then I will not be posting that day. Like, it's just not happening, because either the creativity will fade or my energy to yell about stuff will fade. And those are
my thing with TikTok was like, I mean, like, I just got, because I work, so those who don't know, I work full time and I'm also in school part-time. So your girl's time limited, but I'll be finished with school this May, thank God. But because I've been writing since I got back into fiction writing, that's where my creative dump has gone. And I keep threatening myself that I'm gonna make TikToks about writing, because there's like a significant number of like book talk and writer talk people, and I find those videos interesting. So, but then every time I'm going to do that, instead I just write, which is kind of probably better. But you know, we'll see. Well, you know what? It's fine. We have TikTok, and it's you know, maybe not going away? Question mark. Even though we passed that law that one time. Remember that law we passed that the Supreme Court upheld? Yeah. I mean, it was wildly unconstitutional, but.
And I don't know, there's something cool about, I guess there's something cool about the idea of doing something that's technically illegal.
Yep.
Even if it shouldn't be, but it technically is, but it's not being enforced.
Yeah. No, I remember listening to those oral arguments. I think I actually did a live stream on TikTok listening to them.
I remember watching those.
Wildly unconstitutional. Just watching it unfold in real time. Just watching it, just saying, wow, these people, so stupid. How did that happen? Weird
that the highest court in our land is just unconcerned with the document that's supposed to be governing it, I guess.
I'm a little like, we're all just confused about the cat video app, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they thought. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, and thank you all for hanging out and chatting about this episode. Sick, amazing, awesome.
Are we back on Sunday next week?
We are back on Sunday next week. And yeah, back to your normally scheduled programming. I think it will be, I mean, episode 5, it seems like it's gonna happen. Like the fight is gonna happen. And I'm very interested to see where this episode ends.
I think I know where it's gonna end.
I think so too.
Oh, I think I know where it's gonna end.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if that's the last thing?
I think that's
or if they leave it on a cliffhanger.
I think that's gonna be it.
What if he just says the line, but then it cuts?
That's what I think's gonna happen. And then okay.
Oh, man. I will have to, like, I don't.
Okay, well,
the first half hour of the podcast on Sunday will just be me staring into the middle distance.
Here is coming. Do you remember? Okay, remember in the Bad Show when they behead Missandei on the wall?
I will never forget it.
It's blurry. It's like blurry in the background. It's like because of the way that like the thing is done. So you could do the same thing if something is close to the screen, it can be blurry, and then you could see the people here.
And like the reaction.
And like the fall and the reaction cut.
Yep, and I would just be in catatonic shock for the next like
that is something. I know we're being very vague because we're trying not to
spoil.
That is something
that
I
prepared.
think that is something that I think deserves visually to be disgusting, devastating, raw. Like that's yeah.
Yeah. I think like if the show has been relatively light on like the visually shocking moments have been funny or meant for comedy or light heartedness rather than to be disgusting. Like they aren't disgusting to be revolting or whatever. Like that's not the idea. I do think that I agree with you that if you're gonna use up your like one visually kind of shocking moment in a more negative context, like that's the one you gotta do. Like there is something about the like those big moments, like Ned Stark getting beheaded, the Red Wedding, like the viciousness and sort of like intensity of the visual is part of why it becomes like such a talking point culturally. And I think like this has obviously, I would say in terms of just total eyeballs, this is not going to hit like Red Wedding levels, obviously, because it was already the most popular TV show like in history or whatever. And then they did that. This like it won't have the eyeballs impact, but I do think it has like the ability for people who don't know the story, like for it to be as impactful, like as some of these moments that we talk about with Game of Thrones that were like cultural moments. And it'll just be like, does it do enough on screen to make it impactful and make people feel?
I think also I'll be really interested to see the choice of like how much they actually show versus how much they imply. I think it's always, and not always, but I think most of the time it's more shocking if you convey to your audience what's happening and imply it, but don't actually show it so that your audience can imagine it.
Sure, that too.
So like the way I described it is one way to do it, where like there's like some kind of blurry silhouette.
Yeah.
And like the Foley people can get in there with the sound and make a real like squishy sound that's like awful or whatever.
And the thud.
Yeah. And the thud. Like there's things like that could be really, as opposed to just like shooting it straight on, you know? I don't know that shooting it straight on would be, I mean, it'd still be horrifying, but you know. But it'll be good. And we had someone in the chat say, what if he's just fine? What if? Maybe
honestly,
maybe what if we're all just fine? That's it. That's the big twist. That's the adaptation. It's a change. They changed that.
Well, I have a thing that I'll send you.
Okay.
And I'm making this not as a tease to the people that are still watching, but as a promise that like there is a meme that is coming to mind regarding this event that we're vaguely referring to, and I'm going to reference it. Maybe it even becomes the episode title. I just think that because I hate when people do this like vague stuff of like, I'll tell you later to their like podcast hosts. I did a whole I don't think so honey about this to my own TikTok of when people are like, you wouldn't believe who did X, Y, and Z, and I'll tell you later. And I was just like, and I'm like, hey,
tell us. You're on a podcast. Yeah.
They're releasing the Epstein files. Like, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to name and shame.
We know Arianne's in there. Who else?
Right?
Who else?
like unredact. So but this is my promise that
we will tell you next.
I will talk about this meme, and I'm going to send it to Caroline now. Well, thank you guys for hanging out for a little over 2 hours. And what an episode. Really loved it. I'm excited for more people to see it and for more reactions. I'd love to see if y'all find like casuals reacting to the Baylor moment. I would love to know like how people who are watching for the first time or don't know the story, like reacted in that moment, because I do think we all know that it's fucking cool, and we all know why we love this story, and I'd be very interested to see. So if you see any of those, let us know, and we'll be back next Sunday with a reaction to the next episode. Hopefully we're not staring into space for a good hour, and
piece of great content.
And until then, hope everyone has a great week and weekend. Enjoy
the Superb Owl, and yeah, I hear that's a thing.
Yep.
Taylor Swift isn't even playing this year. So
the Bad Bunny concert.
Oh, I do have to watch the Bad Bunny concert.
It's a Bad Bunny concert with a football game.
I don't know about that part. Yeah.
Before and out, pre-concert and post-concert.
Yeah. That's so weird that they do that. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But yeah, everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.